Hi, and welcome to this series of videos on SDG budget tag. Today, we're going to present a few training videos on how to replicate an SDG budget tag with only starting only with the PDF file of the budget statement. UN DESA's Financing for Sustainable Development Office has prepared this series of videos to transfer the capacity of doing SDG budget tags to the government officials in Fiji, so that they can and you can replicate the SDG budget tag in a future fiscal year. Given that the training is being delivered as a series of videos, the idea is for those watching these videos to have the chance to review the content of these videos at any moment. And specifically in a future fiscal year, when a new budget is available and the government wants to or needs to replicate the SDG budget tag that has been done before for Fiji's case. So today, as mentioned, we're going to focus on using Fiji's budget to compile from scratch an SDG budget tag. We're going to go in step by step through all the steps that are required to do the SDG budget tag. And as you will see at the end of the day, at the end of the videos of the series of videos, it's fairly easy once you get a hold of it. However, it might take a while to actually understand the formulas in Excel and understand how Power BI works in order to replicate this for a future fiscal year. So let's start with what is an SDG budget tag. This is the SDG budget tag for Fiji, and what we want to do is be able to replicate. So this is the example that we are gonna replicate throughout the series of videos that we have for you. So the idea here is to first of all understand what is an SDG budget tag. Budget tag. For that, let me start by saying that budget tagging is the process of assigning or allocating specific labels or identifiers to expenditures and revenues and other financing flows. So similarly to Facebook or Instagram, when you are trying to upload a picture and it has many people in it, you might want to tag those people to understand who's in the picture. Similarly, in the case of an SDG budget tag, you want to take the budget and start applying a series of labels to each budget line so that at the end of the day, you understand, you get a sense of what kind of investments are being made, what kind of resources the government is allocating for specific SDGs. Here we have the picture for the 2024-2025 budget, but it can be done for any other fiscal year. One question that is usually natural at this point is to what extent I need or a country needs an SDG budget tag as opposed to a gender or a climate tag. The answer for that is related to the nature of Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs. As you know, SDGs cover a lot of development topics and are therefore uh, covering a lot more development topics than simply gender or climate. So in that sense, with an SDG tag, you can cover all 17 themes related to the 17 SDGs, which are actually covering already much or a lot of the topics that you encounter when analyzing development topics. So in fact, by doing an SDG budget tag, you are implicitly doing a climate and a gender budget tag as well as a poverty alleviation or peace tagging, yeah, or stronger institutions and many other topics, right? By tagging the budget with this umbrella framework, which is the SDGs, you can then focus on selecting a specific SDG and then trying to get a sense the extent to which the national budget is actually focusing on one of those themes of interest. So basically, uh, by doing an SDG budget tag, you get an umbrella methodology that you can then choose and select to further understand specific topics that you might be interested on. There are three reasons why an institution or an individual would want to get involved with an SDG budget tag. The first one is that an SDG budget tag allows you to track progress towards specific policy goals. So this progress could be of interest to high-level policymakers in case there is a need to understand what kind of progress is being made at the SDG level. Sometimes that is related to climate interest in understanding the progress that is being made at the policy level on climate or the climate financing, or it could also be related to it could be extended to understanding the other climate topics, including nationally determined contributions or NDCs. So in this way, a country might want to track progress on SDGs, even through a VNR. It could be interested in doing climate finance, understanding climate financing or gender financing. So the first reason why an institution or an individual would want to do an SG budget tag is to track progress in specific goals. The second one would be to enhance the financial planning and accountability that is as part of an update to what is called public financial management systems, right? Which is a toolbox of procedures, rules, and standards for financial management at the public level. And recently, there's been an interest at the global level to update that toolbox for PFM in order to accommodate for climate and sustainability considerations. So by doing this, by doing an update of public financial management systems or PFM systems, yeah, you can actually get involved in SDG budget tags. With an SDG budget tag, what you can do in this regard is to introduce evidence-based decision making, given that you will now have specific numbers for how much a particular policy topic is being financed or how many resources are being allocated to that specific financing. So you can already see how having those particular numbers will create an evidence-based for that update of public financial management systems. Also, within the PFM box, an SDG budget tag would allow you to better allocate resources and better coordinate among stakeholders because you now have more evidence on what kind of extent, on how the budget is organized without actually having to go through the very technical budgetary details that sometimes is managed by people that oversee the budget. So sometimes it's a bit hard to understand some details for the budget. So the third reason why somebody would or an institution would be involved in doing an SDG budget tag is that simply the country might want to communicate budgetary details to society in a more friendly way. Uh, this is related to budget transparency. Basically, there are always ways for governments to communicate the budget to the public, but what ends up happening in reality is that the general public is not necessarily familiar with the kind of organization or kind of budgetary language that is managed at the Ministry of Finance level. So that's why introducing an SDG budget tag allows the Ministry of Finance and the government to communicate what the government is doing in a more friendly way. So that's also another another component or another reason why a country would want to start an SDG budget tag. Okay, so now let's think about what a country can do with an SDG budget tag. Because one thing is to determine the reasons why an institution would start an SDG budget tag. Another topic would be to understand what it can be used for. So an SDG budget tag has multiple applications, but one of the main ones is that it allows the country to determine some budgetary measures to track progress, as we mentioned. But beyond that, the first way that a country can use an SDG budget tag, that Fiji can use an SDG budget tag, is to support the issuance of sustainability-linked bonds. Obviously, Fiji has experience as other states and other countries, developing countries, in terms of issuing sustainability-linked bonds, whether it's a blue bond, green bond, or whichever other bond is available. An SDG budget tag provides a tentative criteria to determine the eligibility of certain government projects to receive the resources from those bonds or that issuance. It's a topic that it's not required for a country. What I mean by that is that a country can issue a thematic bond without having an SG budget tag. But having an SG budget tag allows the country to understand what kind of current projects can be refinanced or can receive a top up, if we can put in those terms, uh, with the resources that are gathered from that issuance of or that bond issuance, right? The second way in which a country can use an SG budget tag is that it can support the calculation of financing gaps. If you remember, a gap is the difference between what I want to spend or what I need to spend and what I'm currently spending, right? At the national level, it also happens that way. If I have a need as a country to spend X percentage of the budget or X amount in, let's say, education, but I'm only spending or allocating this amount, then this current amount, then the difference between those two will be the financing gap. So an SDG budget tab allows you to get the picture, take the picture of what's happening currently, right? Which is one of the two components of that financing gap. And the third topic that where a budget, an SDG budget tag is useful, is to understand where a country will go if it maintains its current pace of financing for different topics. And what I mean by that is that with an SDG budget tag, you can take a picture of the budget. It's a static picture because it gives you information for only 1 year. However, if you do this an SDG budget tag for throughout different fiscal years, you get a sense of the extent to which a country is actually doing any progress in terms of achieving sustainability or its national development priorities through across different fiscal years or throughout fiscal years. It is important to clarify that the SDG budget tag is not exclusively for the national budget. There are countries that have used the SDG budget tag methodology that we're gonna be presenting today, and you already know some details about it, to understand the direction, for instance, of other development flows. One example is international development cooperation, which can also be managed to have an SDG tag to understand to what extent, from a national perspective, different financing flows or international development cooperation from partners is going to specific SDG targets. Uh, this methodology can also be applied for subnational revenues, and other financing flow. Basically, if you have any data, let's say in Excel, in an Excel file with multiple budget lines, you can basically implement this methodology for an SG budget tag. All of this to tell you that we're going to focus on the public budget, but take into account that the tagging can be done basically for any database of financial information. Lastly, before we begin, it is important to credit UNDP for having developed this SDG budget tag as part of global support for INFF, for integrated national financing frameworks. I encourage you to check out this UNDP document that has other details for the SDG budget tag. Of course, we're going to do the videos that summarize the methodology that is within the document. But all of this also to tell you that all credit has to be given to UNDP for developing this methodology for for SDG financing and SDG budget tag. So with that in mind, we're gonna let's remember that we're going to compile this very specific chart from scratch in the next videos. This is what we want to replicate. We're going to have a Power BI chart that you can interact with, and the idea is for you to be able to replicate it in the next fiscal year. So I'm going to stop right there for the first video. Thank you.